up, and the fight for the championship nestles into the forests of Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, to give one final opportunity for those looking to advance, with some getting the slip to go home early if needed. Live from virtual Road America, the KBueno Racing Network welcomes you to the 16th race of Season 4 in the SAAC Cup Series and the cutoff event for the first round of the Eliminator Chase. Welcome to Road America. First time we visit here on the KBueno Racing Network to this over 4-mile facility since the Drop in the Hammer Cup Series. We're so happy to have you join us as we get ready to bring in the 12 that will advance and the other 4 that will see their chance at a championship come down to a close. We're alongside Charlie Byer in the booth tonight. I am Kenneth Bueno. Charlie, Road America is such a unique road course. It was introduced into NASCAR not too long ago, raced for 2 years. Hasn't been on the NASCAR Cup Series calendar since, but it is one of those challenging road courses that will face the drivers here tonight. With an extra twist, the playoffs and the Eliminator Chase has their first round come down to a close tonight, so it will be an even more intense trip around this over 4-mile circuit up in Wisconsin.
And a tricky circuit to navigate, and no less a beautiful track. This track has become a staple in a lot of leagues across the iRacing service, and that definitely spawns from its presence in the real NASCAR events that take place. So I think we're in for a good one tonight. I think the stakes are high, and a lot of these drivers, especially the road course ringers, are going to be fighting for a lot tonight.
Stakes very high with all those drivers still trying to advance. And if we're talking about the calendar for which the drivers are trying to get through the Road America, of course, this race that will bring to an end a playoff fight for some of those drivers at the bottom. Here is what the cut line looks like. Very close going into this Road America race. Michael Walls, who stepped up with a top 10 effort in New Hampshire just last Thursday. He's only 1 spot shy, 1 point away from tying Shockey Tarpley and putting himself in the top 12. But really, things aren't safe for those even slightly above the top 10. It's maybe some double digits, but it is very close. So therefore, not safe at all for all of those drivers that are still trying to vie for a SAAC Cup Series championship. The only real deficit for drivers like Trevor Haley and even a bit like Amir Basco, they're pretty far down the order. They're going to need a really, really good race. Trevor Haley, I believe, is too far out mathematically to try and go at it for a push for the next round that will start the following week. But as we see it go down, it will be a lot of fun to see which drivers can advance. And with everything that's happened with Michael Walls and company over the last several weeks, it's been tossy-turvy for the last several races. Tonight, it will come to a close. That red line will come into effect. Well, let's try to give you a recap as to what happened last Thursday at New Hampshire Motor Speedway. It was a great start for Gabriel Dehari. He had led almost the entire way through to the first half. Lots of yellows and lots of carnage. Here he was in row number 1 with league owner Cody Rivera. They would step into turn 1. And then troubles for the defending series champion. Steven Maggio would go around off the nose of Connor Trafari. He would go for the harmless spill. Not the first time that we would see the defending champ in any sort of trouble. James Bomar ending up in the outside wall, middle turn 3 and 4. Of course, part of a very heavily congested first half of this race, filled with yellow flags all across the board. But in the chances that you could go racing, lots of good green flag passes. There was Moreno underneath for second place, and then Maggio getting spun around again at the entry to turn 1. Didn't really have a first half that he could write home about. He will later pick up in the race as it followed through. And in the battle for the race lead, Gabriel Dehari would have full control. Ethan Fonseca Moreno would be right on his tail, but that was before James Thurston decided to put his name into the ring, charging on the outside, 3 wide with Moreno in the middle, and then another challenger up in front of the race leader Dehari, who could not be able to defend in any other way to some of the drivers, but was able to stay up front for most of it. There were the green flag pit stops midway. Dehari, James Thurston, and the rest of them coming in. They would cycle out, but would give the opportunity for points driver Michael Walls to get some laps up front. Same deal for the defending champ in Steven Maggio. And then the first caution that broke the camel's back. Spinner turn 4. Fidel Fabian getting touched around by James Thurston. That was under the cycle from those on fresh tires, leading Maggio and the rest of the drivers to come down pit road. The rest of them would stay out, and this would be the fight for the win all the way until the end. Trafari would have control until a bobble in the middle of turn 4 down the apron would help the DuPont Chevrolet of AJ Hyder rocketing from the high side, and that's where he really never looked back. Hyder ending up stepping away from the rest of the battles for second place right behind as they tried to decide it. Maggio, Trafari, and Thurston going all over the speedway. Everyone looking for all of their lanes from the apron to the very third groove for grip in New Hampshire. It was scintillating to see, and a wonderful save in the middle of 3. Almost thought we were going to see Thurston crash into the outside wall. but he saved the Ford Mustang, and the race would continue, and all on the hands of AJ Hyder. He would walk away for his second SAAC Cup Series victory of Season 4, and most importantly, the one that comes in this Eliminator chase format. So it would be one that is big for the 48. Of course, it's all about maximizing the points you can grab over this last stretch of the SAAC Cup Series season. It's not about playoffs, not about winning you're in. It's about trying to have the most points that you can come down to that final race later on this season. So drivers are sitting behind the iRacing official pace car, and it's our time to bring you the starting grid for the 16th race in the Season 4 SAAC Cup Series calendar and the final race of this first round in this Eliminator chase format. We're on the pole. It is the playoff spoiler so far. James Thurston ended up with a runner-up finish last week in New Hampshire, spoiled the field at Darlington. He'll look for his second road course victory after winning Portland earlier on this season. And another road course ringer, Austin Duran, needs a playoff race like this to go his way. He sits 11th in standings, only 5 points ahead of that round of 12 cut line. So it'll be a big-time moment for Duran if he can try to execute here tonight. Ethan Fonseca Moreno, the 4-time winner, his hot streak had simmered down mid-season, but still in a good points fight with Stephen Maggio. Connor Trafari on his outside in 4th place as he moves into the top 4. Back inside the top 5 is the defending race winner from last week, AJ Hyder, looking to go back-to-back and continue his points tally. And Jonathan Juergensmeyer, the Beckmeyer, Illinois native, his Ford Mustang starts on the outside in position number 6. Back behind them is the pole sitter from New Hampshire last week, Gabriel Dahari, who's up inside the top group in point standings. He beat Ethan Fonseca Moreno in the challenge for the points lead last week. He'll look to tally on that momentum with Cody Riveras, league owner, on the outside in position number 8. And then to round out the top 10, the 49 of Quincy Strawhacker with a great qualifying effort for P9, and a 209.434 is enough to get the 24 of Michael Walls just inside this top 10, 1 point behind Shockey Tarpley entering this race.
And just starting outside the top 10 in the 11th position, that's Andretti Robinson with a 209.59, and to his outside, that's Stephen Maggio, a driver who we felt his absence last night in the 4-wide TJ's Team Cup Series, but he'll be starting 12th tonight. Wyatt Roberts starting 13th in number 42, and Rivers Jones and starting in the number 14 position. Row number 8 to the inside, that's Christopher A. Robinson starting in the 15th, and the number 12, and Devin Frank, number 6 to 10 for his qualifying time. Larry Miles starting 17th to his outside, Nicholas Borowski, another 210 for those pairs in row number 9. And row number 10, Amir Bassicombe starting in the 19th position, and Ollie Reeves, car number 31, he'll round out the top 20.
Back in 21st is Duncan Fall. His number 61 machine rolls off from the inside of row 11. And the 55, Fidel Fabian, rolls off his Toyota Camry from 22nd on the starting grid tonight. Declan George in the 17 is 23rd. Connor Zola on the outside in 24th. That's row number 12. Row number 13 will feature Dunham and David and Brad Sawinski, the 4 and the 28 machine. Sawinski had been so close to making the Eliminator chase format on points, just a little short in those final few races. A very deep start for the 25 of Shockey Tarpley could spell danger for him for the rest of the race. He sits into this 1 point in the top 12 in standing, so he will need a very good one tonight. And Luke Mahone, his number 34 machine, is on the outside in 28th, and that will file out the rest of this field here from Road America in Elkhart Lake. We go 25 laps here from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and doesn't seem like a lot on usually other road courses on the schedule, but this is an over 4-mile racetrack, so 100 miles on tap for the drivers here tonight. And in road courses, first time we see Road America since season number 1. Best finisher of that amongst the active drivers, that were 10 of them back then, was Larry Miles. His best finish of P2. Eric Heater ended up being the actual winner of that race. Of course, not an active name in the SAAC Cup Series anymore, but between these two, James Thurston and Austin Duran, two very different stories. Between James Thurston, of course, trying to continue his momentum-based end of the season when he won Portland, of course, struck the field at Darlington in those final few laps in an Eliminator chase race, and then tonight from the pole, if he's able to try and snag a 3rd race victory of the season, could try and make the journey to the front of the standings for a lot of the other competitors much, much harder. They'll carry on through the exit of the carousel into the kink. And Charlie, this track has so much history, so many unique corners. How difficult do you think it will be to try and master this course, especially knowing this road course package isn't necessarily easy for a lot of drivers and isn't really for the faint of heart?
And I think its sheer size definitely plays a factor into mastering this road course. This is one of the longest circuits we have in the United States, and going from into the woods, out the woods, straightaways, corners, kinks, and this track really takes a lot to get to know it, and it's hard to find your breaking points as well. I mean, Kenneth, if you thought finding those breaking points last night in Montreal in the 4-Wide Cup Series was difficult, this track was also going to throw a lot at you, and being able to hit your marks and being able to settle in is one of the biggest factors. So we go through some leaps here. I have some new volumetrics I haven't seen in iRacing yet, but it's going to take settling in and limiting your mistakes to have a good finish here, and I think the top 5 is going to be determined by how little mistakes these drivers are able to make.
Those are our Charlie Byer Photography onboard cameras, and it's all about, like you said, mistake-free. That's how you have to be. Picture perfect for Moto America if you want to try and win a race like this. Only 12 drivers will advance to the next round of the Eliminator chase. Who moves on and who goes home from the over 4-mile road course deep in Wisconsin? James Thurston and Austin Drawn will carry the field up the hill and to the green flag. We're racing from Road America. And so far, a clean trip to the first 3 corners. There is a turn 2. It's in the middle of that straightaway off of turn number 1 down to turn 3. This is turn 4 and into the hard braking zone of turn 5. The big passing opportunity, 3 wide at the back, and a spinner already to the inside wall. Christopher Robinson seems to be in trouble, and Steven Maggio may have nearly gone caught out in the mix. A huge slide to the inside and drama up the hill on lap number 1.
And that could have been disastrous, Kenneth. And that Steven Maggio obviously veered off to the right to the grass to lock up the brakes. But how about a threading the needle moment for Devin Frank, who slid to the inside and was able to just barely avoid more trouble. We'll take a look at Steven Maggio here. He may have missed his braking point, took evasive action to get to the outside. Check this out.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. That is a close one, but it is able to avoid a lot more cars being involved in that one.
Here's the onboard look. That was a battle with Christopher Robinson, so I was a bit wrong on my judgment on who it was coming into the corner. It's a hard braking zone. You're going downhill. That's typical wheel hop from the 56 of Frank. And just look at this. Wow, hole in the wall moment. It almost catches Maggio on the way down as well. A huge moment for Devin Frank, saves the race car, and we will stay okay. No other drivers seem to be in trouble as the top 3 continue to pull through and gap the rest of the field early on. Thurston, of course, in his comfort zone as he crosses through turn number 14. Austin Drawn right behind him. Ethan Fonseca Moreno just a couple tenths back, running in 3rd. Going to take a little while before you catch up to Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, who runs 4th, and Connor Trafari, perennial championship contender after his 3 wins coming throughout this season, most notably the last 2 that came in back-to-back fashion. As we'll continue to watch all those drivers in the top 10. And I guess, Charlie, it's that first lap. You always get those jitters out, of course, at such a difficult road course like this. All of this elevation change, so much that's going at your face as AJ Hyder nearly gets tussled around by Gabriel Dehari in turn 1. For all of those purple and pink banner drivers, you have to tiptoe around this circuit. Nothing comes easy, especially in these first few laps.
Yeah, and like I said pre-race, it's all about settling in, and you want to make these moves early on, and you have to kind of weigh the factors between risk and reward. If you end up missing your brake zone and going off the track, maybe going into the runoff a little bit, you're looking at almost 10 spots lost net in terms of the mistakes that you make. So being able to stay patient and limit those mistakes, and we see a car go off and some more cars spinning out of here.
And Andretti Robinson, that's off turn 5, almost contact with AJ Hyder as they were coming off the corner. Fidel Fabian also hits the grass. It looks like for the most part everyone else is okay, but again, for these first few, you have to be so careful about where you place the race car at all times, because there will be another car, chances are, right behind you, right in front of you, right on your inside or outside. And so all of these Eliminator chase drivers have to be so careful about where they're going to place their race car. There's Shockey Tarpley, of course, that deep start from 27th on the grid. He needs a lot of points to gain, according to what we're seeing right now in his comparison to Michael Walls, who runs 8th right now from the first 2 laps of this race, nearly complete. And for the rest of this field, it's all about trying to survive. Look at the hip checking right in front of this 25 car, though. Duncan Fall, Connor Zola, the battle to the kink. Such a narrow part of the circuit, and Steven Magda, who ended up in that slide off of turn 5 on the opening lap, down in Canada corner. Fight to the inside of Larry Miles.
While this battle is going on, we also had a change for the race lead. James Thurston missed one of the corners going into the back straightaway, and Austin Duran was able to catch up to him. Now they're side by side down the front straightaway.
Here he goes up the hill. First proper challenge for the lead. Austin Duran, that pink and gray frontline Chevrolet, trying to grab his first win of the 2025 season. Down to the inside, hard on the brakes, glowing in the front rotors, and to the bottom of the racetrack in turn 1. Austin Duran, first lead change in lap number 3. Thurston will fight back down the hill to turn 3.
And while these are battling, we can see behind Ethan Fonseca Moreno is able to gain multiple car lengths. That's exactly what he wants to see. And for a winner who just coming off a road course win last night in the 4-wide TJ's Team Cup Series, he's looking for some more tonight.
What a drive from Austin Duran and James Thurston. The rest of them behind, still trying to figure out where they're going to be. It's nearly 2 full seconds to Connor Trafari, who's running back in 4th place. And just hanging in the mix, loose race car, Ethan Fonseca Moreno. Remember, that's kind of how he approached Montreal yesterday, Charlie, and the way he ran that race that you were a part of on the racetrack. It was just trying to be as consistent as possible, make use of other drivers' mistakes, and then pounce when the time is right. And Moreno, who, like we said, has been on sort of a cold spell over the last few weeks, hasn't won a race in maybe a month or 2, trying to go back to victory lane. And what a way if he could do it tonight from Road America and get his 2nd consecutive road course win on a KBueno broadcasted race, as Thurston continues to pull ahead from Austin Duran. 3 car lengths between those 2 machines, but safe to say this is not the last that we'll see of Duran, especially in this first stint.
No, definitely not, and wasn't able to take off quite as much as he takes a bit of grass there coming down the back straightaway, but wasn't able to pull away just as much as he was able to in the opening laps of this race. Could see a shot to the inside. This is one of those corners where you're able to send it deep and make it stick, and maybe use a little bit of the car that you're battling with, but multiple car lanes gained in that corner as we go up through the leads.
And he's been a part of several road course races already this week. Chicago Street Course for the Slide Job Racing League, a fellow league that runs next-gen cars owned by our good friend Steven Magdo, who races in this series, of course. And so he had a lot of experience trying to make it through as that season also starts to come to a close, and tonight could be another added practice level for him. And in a sense for Duran, really needs a race victory, really needs a good finish. As for right now, seems to have locked up at least the top 12 in standings comparison to where he is back to Shockey Tarpley and Michael Walls, given how their races have gone so far tonight over the first 4 laps. So if Duran can continue this, even if he doesn't get the race victory, it will be a finish worthy of note for the driver, the number 52, as he continues to remain on the back bumper of our current race leader. But right behind him, battle for P5. There's the league owner, Cody Rivera, started on the outside of the front row in New Hampshire last week. Didn't convert that into a good finish for the 36 machine, but trying to recoup tonight here from Road America. And Jonathan Jurgensmeyer right behind had the practice from Montreal and Circuit Gilles Villeneuve just last night in the 4-wide racing TJ's Team Series. So probably using that road course experience to hand here at a track that features a lot more elevation change and plenty of different styles of off-camber corners and off-momentum areas of the racetrack. Right up the hill, right about here off of turn number 5, that's turn 6, then turn 7, and turn 8. 3 very different corners that you got to carry at such a high rate of speed at some, and then such a low rate of speed at a corner like this, left-hander right before the carousel kicks in. And it's so fascinating, Charlie, to see them hit this particular part of the racetrack where you get into the carousel trying to carry all of that speed on the throttle while not lining up the rear tires, and then that high-speed king can catch you off guard so quickly under this Mission Bridge.
Yeah, that's where the throttle patience definitely comes in with these NASCAR Series cars. A lot of drivers like to compare the next gen to a GT3 car, and that's essentially what it is for the most part, visually and sometimes physically, you know, in terms of the engine and the gear and all that stuff. But you have to be patient on the throttle still, and going through these corners, especially the kink, especially the carousel, it requires a lot of patience, and that's going to add up over the course of this race. Wheel spin, that is. If you're spinning your tires constantly through that corner, your rear tires are going to be shot over the course of an entire race, and could essentially mean the difference between a top 5 and maybe finishing outside the top 10. So for a lot of these guys, settling in and being able to limit the tire spin is a big thing, especially around those corners.
You know, we lived in a time on iRacing where the next-gen tires on road courses didn't wear at all. So you would have an opportunity to run your fastest laps over the longest stretch of a green flag run because the tires didn't wear. And when you came down pit road, you would only just come in for fuel. You wouldn't try to slap on some Goodyear Eagles. Now the tire wear has gotten much higher at this discipline of track, so no longer is that play where you would come in for fuel only, not worrying about what the wear is on your Goodyear Eagles. You have to be assured that you've got grip on your race car. And so when we see these drivers come down pit road, it's going to be about mitigating the tire wear over this stretch, and then when they come down pit road, getting the 4 fresh Goodyear Eagles when they need it. Here is Doran back for the fight and back for the lead. Lap number 5 down to turn number 5 and up the hill through turn 6. He has not let this PSISM Ford Mustang get away with anything, Charlie, so far. It's been a case of keeping that 82 honest. The 2 road course ringers have been on a tear, and they've let Moreno go by nearly 3.5 seconds, who's almost at the mercy of Connor Trafari in the fight for the podium.
Yeah, and even though James Thurston has not been able to pull away just as much, these two are still just as fast as they were, opening up to a 3.5 second gap to start this race. And you have to wonder if some of the mistakes that Thurston was making in terms of tire spinning and maybe veering off the course a little bit was able to not let him pull away from Duran as much as he thought, or at least as it was in the opening laps of this race. But Kenneth, it's also about applying a pressure. I'm sure you can attest to, if you're at a road course or even an oval, when someone's bumper is in your mirror and you just can't shake them off, it can also force you into mistakes. It's a very powerful psychological element of racing when you're able to do that. So that could also be a factor.
You know, there are 2 ends of it, and we saw it last night at Montreal as Connor Trafari goes off the gravel into Canada corner. That's one of those final few in this final section, was of course trying to keep up with Moreno. But that's a good example of it right there. If you're the chased, you could be forced into a mistake because you're under constant pressure from the car right behind you. But if you're the chaser, you're trying to find every bit of asphalt, every bit of racetrack that you can maximize and be as good as possible to be able to make that spot up. For Trafari, just got a little eager on the braking zone to Canada corner, made that mistake, and has let Moreno by, has let Cody Riveras through in the battle for 4th place, and now Riveras is going to try to turn the heat up on the Mission Chevrolet right in front of him of Moreno. So again, back to that mental aspect, Charlie, of hunter versus hunted. There could be lots of pressure on either side of the 8 ball, and we saw that with Francisco yesterday. I mean, he was in the race lead, kind of let it up to Moreno, made a lot of mistakes trying to chase him down, and then Moreno trying to chase Francisco down in the late portions of that race. Made mistakes, fortunately was able to get back the race lead, but both of them had to deal with slowdown penalties over the course of the lap because they understood just how fast each other was, so they had to try and push as hard as they physically could, and a lot of that was pushing track limits, so it forced them to lose so much of that time in comparison to each other. And it's very fascinating to see what Doran and Thurston have been able to do, just 7/10 separating those 2 cars in the moment for the fight for the race lead. So right behind them in the top 11, you see some good fighting in the midst of this group. Quincy Strawhacker, that ADR Graphics Toyota Camry, running in 10th. AJ Hyder running up the board, a driver that has an average finish on road courses of 4th over his last several starts. Finished 2nd at Sonoma earlier on this season to the eventual winner in Connor Trafari, and then picked up a top 6 in that Portland race that Thurston really dominated over strategy. And here comes Hyder to the inside of the carousel under the 24 of Michael Walls. This will be for 8th place.
And I'm not sure if Michael Walls maybe got the memo, but we are open in Wisconsin. This is Big Ten country. I'm not sure if that LSU paint scheme is going to be welcome too much around here, but especially with UW-Madison pretty close by. But he's certainly, I'm sure if Keelan was here, he'd had a lot to say about that paint scheme. All good things, of course. But yeah, this is a group that is a little bit bunched up right now, and you kind of think about, or you start to notice at these road courses, you start to get a lot of groups that are bunched up like this, and it usually starts with a car that's leading the group is maybe a little bit slow, and it's more prevalent at a road course where it's more difficult to pass. So we're going to see these groups kind of bunched up throughout the course of this race, whether it's 2 or 4 or more. So it's definitely a big factor in terms of pit strategy as well.
You know, there's going to be banter from Big Ten versus SEC, but there was actually some infighting between SEC and SEC because the scheme that Michael Wallace has been running, this LSU Tigers car, is designed by Austin Duran, who's running 2nd right now. Austin Duran is a University of Florida fan. When he made that paint scheme right after that LSU Florida game, he put the final score on the back bumper of the race car, where that Go Incorporated logo is on the left side of the back bumper under the left headlight, or the tail light rather. That's where he put the final score. of Florida beating LSU. So there's a bit of banter there between the SEC schools. There's lots of rivalries there. I can't talk because I'm a Conference USA fan, but I'm sure if I was a fan of any of those schools, Charlie, I would be having a blast. So James Thurston continues up in front by 0.6 over Austin Duran. That fight continues on. Again, they have left Moreno and the rest of the field in the dust, almost similarly to how Moreno and Bacallao did to the rest of the field at Circuit Gilles Villeneuve just last night. And Rivera's is not too far behind either on this Mission Chevrolet. He almost put the fire up when Moreno had Connor Trafari make a hiccup at the exit of Canada corner and dribbled through the grass. So that's exactly where we stand. Trafari has fallen back to 5th. And all in this, trying, Charlie, to gain back the points lead. This is one of those things about the Eliminator chase that's a bit interesting. You get 75% of your full points when you have a quote-unquote drop week, so aka your worst finish over the course of the round. You gain full points for all of the other finishes, and it's about who's the top dog at the end of the season when it comes down to the checkered flag. So for Moreno, it's less about just trying to have a good race. It's trying to have the best race possible with all the points. He did lose the overall points lead to Gabriel Dahari after last week's festivities at the New Hampshire Motor Speedway. So for Moreno, no pun intended with his mission card, just a bit more hunger to try and get a good finish tonight.
Yeah, I think Ethan Fonseca Moreno is definitely the person you want to look to if you're looking for not only a good finish, but a spectacular one. And being able to adapt to these road courses has really been a strong suit of his. Being able to just kind of walk in and maybe with only a day of practice before the race, he's able to perform especially well. We saw it in both Montreal races, really, when it comes to the KBueno Truck Series and the 4Wide TJ's Team Series. He's able to step in, kind of feed off of his BBR teammates a little bit, and then perform when it really matters. So a top 3 finish and a podium here is definitely going to be something that he will be pleased with, no matter if he needs a spectacular finish or not. So I think Ethan is definitely going to be the guy to look to if you're looking for clutch situations like that.
We mentioned that he hasn't won a race in a while. It has been since July 31st that we've seen Ethan grab a win in this SAAC Cup Series campaign. It was back at the Texas Motor Speedway. He captured 4 wins to start the season, and it was such a hot beginning for the San Jose Californian, but ever since, you know, he's had good finishes every now and then, but the checkered flags haven't come to respond for this 92 machine. So hoping that tonight could be the big difference with 18 laps to go as we try to charge into what will be our first bit of green flag strategy. And after yesterday's race in Montreal, we were kind of wondering how the strategy would have played out had there been no competition caution midway. Well, here at Road America, we're going to get the answer over a long green flag stretch. No yellow flags that are manufactured from the race league admins as we see it. So we're running all of these 25 laps as green as we can. Look at the off excursion for Connor Trafari sailing off out of the kink. That is not the place, Charlie, where you want to make a mistake at a high rate of speed. Thankfully, he gathers the car up before it ends up right into the outside wall.
Yeah, not only is that a dangerous place, it's also going to carry over. This is a long straightaway. They call it Kettle Bottoms. That's the straightaway all the way leading into Canada corner. Not only is that a bit of a wishy-washy corner, that wall is right there. We saw Joseph Newgarden actually in the real-life IndyCar Series practice took a hard hit to that outside wall. It really shows the cost of full sending, as they say, that corner. Connor Trafari tried to get all of that as he could. Was able to avoid the wall, but man, that gap really closed. Probably only a few feet from contact.
And right behind him is Gabriel Dahari, so no chance for further mistakes for Trafari here tonight as Dahari tries to step back, that current points leader. Trafari steps into this race 97 points clear of the top 12 cut line, so in no shape or form is Trafari under any fire to be eliminated from this playoff format, but he still, of course, wants to be the top man at the end of the season. He's still 3 points behind Steven Maggio, to which this would go to his favor if the race, as it stands, continues to hold through. But there are several more points he needs to catch up to Moreno with, and then even more points if he wants to get up to the points leader right behind him in Gabriel Dahari. So Trafari really needs to lock in, find his groove over these next few laps here at Road America as they both try to catch Cody Riveras and Ethan Fonseca Moreno. That fight continues on through the top 5. The only other close battle on the racetrack right now, I believe, is Steven Maggio running in P11 right behind Quincy Strawhacker, driver of the number 49. And after that really shaky start to New Hampshire, we were almost concerned, Charlie, that the defending champion could not find his flame back. In many situations, he had been in a chance to win under strategy, and then things would get ripped away from him because of late yellows in the going, but that race had gone mostly green. Maggio had the fresh tire call strategy, so he was on the right end of history, but history kind of slapped him in the face. Gave him a podium finish, but even then after that race, he told us he was just still frustrated with the way that event had gone. Felt like there was still more that was left out on the table for him to grab and eat. So Maggio hoping that tonight could be a proper turnaround, could be much more of a feel-good story, but P11 after that mistake entering turn 5 on the opening lap, it's not really going to cut it for the defending champ.
Yeah, I mean, these are racers. They definitely know every detail about the race and maybe what they could have done better. Despite the podium finish last night, he was obviously involved in 2 incidents into those corners. And even though New Hampshire is a wide racetrack on a diagram, it definitely tightens up in terms of the racing itself. So I'm sure he's looking back with a little bit of regret, but a P3 finish certainly is the best result that he could have gotten out of that. But Kenneth, of course, you talked about a rebound here and being able to put together a race with no mistakes in this case. You mentioned there are no yellow flags, or at least administrative yellow flags. Not only is that going to introduce a bit of strategy as we see car enter pit road here, but it's also putting together a complete race. And wow, that number 52 is smoking.
There's damage on Austin Duran. He was running second, and there's the dejected look on his face. He's going to try and fix this race car. But for the driver running P2 all night long, frustrations have boiled over, and the car is severely damaged as he comes down to pit road off of turn 14. What happened here to Austin Duran? He was fighting right behind James Thurston, and he had gone basically a full lap, Charlie, before this all transpired. This is off of turn number 8. Oh, and he catches the gravel with a hard hit to the inside wall.
Oh, man, that's just as much as it takes. Just a little bit of gravel is going to be able to spin your tires and send you on a trajectory towards the wall here. He was doing everything right, even not letting James Thurston get too far away from him. On corner exit here, just gets it a little bit, and that's just enough to point your car towards the wall, and that's not a good wall to hit either. That's going to damage his engine severely. I wouldn't be surprised if that's required repairs for his car.
There are no safer barriers across Road America, and the smoke continues to billow on the number 52 Chevrolet, so he'll lose out on the fight for the lead. That will eliminate him from contention. You saw the hands in his face. He was so disappointed for that one mistake off the gravel, and it cost him so much time. It'll cost him a chance at the win, and it most likely will cost him a shot of running for a SAAC Cup Series championship again. He runs into this race 5 points clear of the top 12 cut line. With this incident and with him out of the race now, it looks like things have been blown wide open, and the 52 will most likely be under the cut line by the time the checkered flag comes down here tonight with 15 laps to go. A heartbreaker for Duran. He most likely will be out, continues to watch and see the replay on what exactly happened. But Charlie, it's such a devastating moment when you see such a small mistake like that carry a driver from running for the win to being out in an instant. And it's partially because of this debris refresh from iRacing. Before, you couldn't really carry gravel and grass back out onto the racing surface, but now you can. If you make an excursion into the gravel, you're going to carry all of those marbles back onto the speedway when the tires inevitably go back to a higher rate of rotation. So for Duran, he had seen all of the gravel, and you'll see it here at the exit of turn 8 when Thurston inevitably gets to it. All of that debris that's on the racetrack, it loosens the tires up, loosens the amount of grip overall. And I think that's exactly what caught Duran in that moment and will take him out of tonight's event.
That's really fascinating developments out of iRacing to be able to introduce that element into racing and kind of bridge the gap between sim racing and real life just a little bit more. But yeah, it hurts morally for Austin to be able to run that good and that consistently. We've seen very few mistakes running behind that number 82 of James Thurston in second place throughout the course of this race. And man, that is a heartbreaker, and there's no tougher track to even rebound at than a road course. So I'd say his Road America book is all but closed right now, and that's going to be certainly a detriment to the cut line.
Look at all this gravel right on the racetrack. That's exactly what Duran had hit, and he had been running over that several laps over. A lot of drivers are getting right on the thin edge of grip right at the exit of that corner near the curbing, and when you bring up all of that gravel really just loosens the car up. And such a tough situation for Austin Duran tonight. His 52 car clear out of this race with 15 laps to go. Here's the battle for third on the racetrack now that the 52 has given away his spot and moves Moreno to second. Trafari has stepped into third, and the points leader into tonight's race, Gabriel Dahari, wakes up after the mistake from Trafari entering Canada corner. Side by side through the next few, down to turn 14, and Gabriel Dahari makes up third. Cody Rivera's got passed by those several cars, so he'll be back in P5 as the strategy most likely will start to kick in after about 5 or so laps. Looks like it's going to kick in now for Trafari. Dive to pit road this time at lap 12.
Yeah, seemingly just a little bit before the halfway point in this race. These drivers are going to try and do a little short pit strategy, get a few laps on these fresh tires, and try to put themselves in a better spot, setting up for the end of this race. And it's a really interesting, it's interesting in the sense that he is the first car in and not really whole cars around him. But I guess if you're essentially batting with other cars, that's a little bit more lost time as compared to running by yourself. So coming into the pit road and maybe trying to get a few laps to get away from these drivers, get some open space, clean air, and run on your own. I just think that's the strategy for Connor here.
I'm a little confused here. I'm trying to figure things out, but I'm by no means a math major, so kind of correct me here if I'm wrong on this. But it's a strategy call at lap 12. I don't know if you can make it 13 laps into the end of this race. Maybe if you save a bit of fuel. Again, this is a super long road course, and it is a super long entry and exit on and off of pit road. So I don't know if he's cutting it right on the razor edge of pit road strategy, and whether he's going to try and gamble on fuel here. He is in a position to sort of gamble by himself, but does that strategy play out? As we're right about midway through this race, it could be a solid call. He's going to go in earlier than Thurston, while this 82 car remains out on the racetrack with a chance to win his third race of this 2025 season. Well, Charlie, as we're kind of deep into the details of this race, and as everyone is starting to figure out where their strategies are going to go, where would you rank Road America on stock car road courses? Because there are so many. NASCAR has already tried to expand their palette, and they have with COTA, Chicago Street. They raced here at Road America for a couple years' time. Charlotte Roval is a brand new addition. Where would Road America rank? Would it be top 5?
I think in terms of scenery alone, Road America is absolutely my favorite. And being here to experience this track in real life, oh, contact, that's number 4, and wow, take a look at that.
That's
Cody Rivieras.
And against Dunham and David, who went for the spill, that was Canada corner. And the 36 car, again, he was running 4th. He's still 4th now. There's decent gap back to Jonathan Juergensmeyer, but that surely will force this 36 down pit road, whether he likes it or not. He's going to stay out the extra lap, so bravery and courage from Rivieras to stay as long as he have. I'm sorry to interrupt the conversation, but right in the middle of that, off of Canada corner, went the spinning Donovan David, and it just so happened to have caught Cody Rivieras. Look at the pack of cars right behind this Zevia machine, gets tapped around by Ollie Reeves. Gabriel Dahari has an excursion off into the gravel, left side tires into the barrels, and then Rivieras just basically T-bones him off the corner.
Yeah, I got a little help from Ollie Reeves there, and damaging 2 top 4 cars by the likes of Gabriel Dahari. That's just wrong place, wrong time. Gabriel be able to kind of jump into the grass here, take a little bit of those tire barriers, and be able to minimize his damage as much as he can, but a nose hit for Cody Rivieras, and that's going to certainly affect his speed throughout the course of the race.
He's not going to get all that aerodynamic efficiency when he's down the straightaways, but thankfully he's going to stay on the track, and he's still in contention in the fight for third as Dahari tries to get around the Zenith Motorsports 31 of Ollie Reeves. Bit of a wiggle there off of what's going to be turn number 7 on the racetrack, turn 6 rather, up the hill, and so he'll keep his car collected. What a scary moment for Rivieras, but thankfully they all step up. But I guess back to the conversation of Road America, you say the scenery is top tier. Where would it be? Top 3? Top 5? I would say 4th.
I like your spot, Kenneth. I think it's definitely top 5. It's hard to rank other tracks above the classics like Watkins Glen and Sonoma, who have had such a presence on the NASCAR schedule throughout the years. But as someone who was born and raised in Illinois, I have a lot of enthusiasm for NASCAR's presence in the Midwest. So I definitely would rank this maybe 3rd or 4th behind Watkins Glen, Sonoma, and possibly maybe even, I mean, the Charlotte Roval, but that's just me. I like tighter tracks like that, but you know how I feel. And we see Cody Rivieras is off in Canada corner again.
It looks like he's found more trouble. Jonathan Juergensmeyer will skimp around. He'll move into 4th. Rivieras will drop to 5th. That next car in line is the blue machine, AJ Hyder, running in P6 with 13 laps to go. I believe at this point everyone should be okay to make it if they're going on the edge and cutting it midway, but as we see it, it doesn't appear that many of the drivers in the front other than Connor Trafari and now this 5th place car of Cody Riveros are taking their chances on the pit lane. It looks like the leader is in, though, at lap number 14. So with 11 laps to go at the stripe, James Thurston is electing to come in. His pit road service starts now in pit stall number 1 to try and make it to the end.
And coming in for assuming for fresh Goodyear Eagles, leaving Gabriel Dahari and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, the 2 cars who have stayed out and now are assuming the top 2 positions from those cars. But the jack drops and he's able to get on quickly and efficiently. No issues there. And it's all about this hot lap, or excuse me, this out lap, getting as much speed as you can in distance.
This is the most time you'll spend on a delta from the entry of pit road up the hill to the exit of pit road, a bit going downhill off of turn number 1. So Thurston has to make sure he amplifies the amount of time he can gain here on fresh tires. 2 drivers will stay out here, so Gabriel Dahari will get the extra lap lead, potentially the bonus point for staying up front for at least 1 lap. And then right behind him, a 2nd and 3/10 behind, Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, trying to win his first race of the 2025 season. Dahari has already been to victory lane twice, both of those at mile-and-a-half circuits. Las Vegas earlier on this season, and then Homestead, Miami, near the very end of the regular campaign. Look at all of this gravel that's across the carousel. That is straight up from the corner that Austin Drawn went off into the outside wall. It carries on to nearly the curving there, right at the exit of the carousel, starts to fade away, and then you start to be in clean racetrack. But that is how much of a mess has been made at that particular point of the venue, and that's where Donovan David had gone off and into the gravel as well, as he's trying to let all of the leaders by. It is so scary when you see all of that gravel. Look at it getting carried away into the asphalt. I think I'd be shivering in my timbers if I was going through all of this, and all the noise is coming off the race car from the nose.
Yeah, and iRacing's volumetrics have certainly transcended over the years, and being so close to what you would see on a camera watching these cars in real life. So it's nothing short of impressive what iRacing has been able to do, and like you mentioned, being able to bridge that gap into real life. But yeah, the 2 corners that definitely have the most rocks on them are definitely the Canada corner, which we're about to get a glimpse up the hill here, and absolutely the hurry downs up into the carousel, or excuse me, down into the carousel. Those have certainly, I mean, it looks like its own runoff, seeing those rocks carry even up through this hill and almost onto the front straightaway.
You know, you'd almost think that we're going archaeology diving in all of this dirt, all of this gravel. Here at turn 14, it's also carried on to the final corner of the racetrack. Almost looks like we're digging for fossils here in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. I don't think that we would find any, because dinosaurs probably didn't exist in America at all. But, you know, thinking of how much the tires have dug into the gravel, it's been just a little bit of a fun extracurricular activity. Here are the leaders coming down pit road. The lead has changed hands back to James Thurston. Moreno has taken away 2nd. Trafari has just succumbed to 3rd. And is there a pit road speeding penalty for Gabriel Dahari? He's staying on pit lane, and it's his black flag for the 72 car.
It is. That is a costly mistake. That's going to cost him. I'm not sure how exactly iRacing will punish him in terms of time spent, extra time spent on pit road, but that is a lot of time to be sitting there and having to make up on a road course, a track that has no yellow flags. That is potentially race breaking.
Was he too fast? I believe he was. I don't think he was speeding midway through the pit lane. So off turn 14, there's Dahari making his move. I think perhaps just cooking it a little too much. You're going up the hill. It helps you slow down the race car, but right at that yellow cone is where pit road speed limit kicks in. And it looks like Dahari is good, but in some way, shape, or form, during that trip to his pit stall, then that time penalty and the pit road penalty had kicked in. So for the points leader, he may lose the grapple of the points lead coming out of Road America, heading into the next venue. A 54.9 second pit stop. That is a nearly full minute that he's spending in his stall. That is from the pit road penalty, and so he will give up spots coming down to the final 10 laps as Thurston has cleared Moreno for the lead. It's 4 seconds between those 2 cars. And really, this is looking like Thurston's race to lose. He has been mostly mistake-free. The only pressure he's faced tonight has been from Austin Drawn. That one mistake cost the 52 a chance at the win and to get around this 82 machine. So frankly, Charlie, he's got to be in cruise control mode and hope that the Mission Chevrolet of Ethan doesn't gain any speed and that this 82 car doesn't make any mistakes on the way to the win.
Absolutely. Just take care of your car, keep it on the track, and stay off of those rocks that have gained a probably a notoriety at this point throughout the drivers in the field. You can see even she's carrying him up all the way towards the start-finish line. But yeah, just being able to limit the tire spin as a result of those rocks as well, and try and fend Ethan Fonseca Moreno off, who really isn't too far back, only 5 seconds. That could definitely be made up over the course of 10 laps to go.
Hoping that Thurston could get into some lap traffic trouble like we saw with Dahari and Cody Riveris. That's what Ethan is thinking right now. If he can't catch him on raw pace, there has to be a car that is an outside influence for him as he continues to try and chase down the man looking for his 3rd victory of the season and 2nd on a road course this year. You're watching coverage of the SAAC Cup Series Eliminator Chase from the Road America Circuit in virtual Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. We'll be right back with more coverage on the KBueno Racing Network. Don't go anywhere.
Let's go racing!
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series in officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
There's only one fuel that can drive the performance you demand from your car. New 94 Octane, the highest octane on the market, only at Sunoco.
Let's go. What's up? Yo, what's up, Kenneth? What's going on, man? How are you? Good. How you been? What you got in the bag, man?
I got a panini. I have a hoagie. I got it all through the Wall Rewards app.
You can order it all through the app?
You can order it all through the app.
I can order it all through the app. The world is my oyster! By placing your order on the Wawa app, you can pick up at any time with ultimate satisfaction. Gotta have a Wawa. And back live from the virtual Road America Circuit in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin. Glad that you're joining us on the KBueno Racing Network for race number 16 of the Season 4 SAAC Cup Series and our 3rd road course race of the year. We're alongside Charlie Beyer. I am Kenneth Bueno as we watch James Thurston continue to pull away with the race lead. He's had it since the drop of the green flag. He has seemingly never let go of control other than one specific moment where he let Austin draw him by and quickly resurfaced to the race lead. And under strategy with 9 laps to go and counting, Thurston on the way for what will be his 3rd race victory if he can hold on to the charge. Moreno is back by 6.5 seconds. He did gain some time by at least a couple tenths on Thurston over the last few laps, but ever since Thurston has been able to check into speed mode, and he's been all across this track, just putting in faster lap times by nearly 2 or more full seconds compared to the 92 machine. Connor Trafari runs in 3rd, Cody Riveris in 4th, and Jonathan Jurgensmeyer in one of the best battles we're seeing right now for position up the hill off turn 14 with AJ Hyder down the inside to the first corner. And Charlie, I'd say it's exactly what we imagined. A bit of chaos with lap traffic, lots of playoff drivers at the front, lots of interesting storylines for points positions that could be gained. But basically, it's James Thurston's race all at this point. He dominated Portland earlier on this season for his first victory of the season. and ever since has strolled into an oval win at Darlington and looking to capture another road course crown tonight from Wisconsin.
Yeah, it's only 8 laps away, Kenneth. This race is on its way to wrapping up rather quickly for us, but just 8 more laps to go. You're right, he's in cruise control right now, just being able to keep this race lead and being able to pull away from it. It's definitely a complete race for him.
And there's the AJ Hyder pass on Juergensmeyer. Those two had been nose to tail, 6th and 7th in point standings heading into this Eliminator chase format. Hyder, of course, with the big-time win at New Hampshire Motor Speedway last week, had surged him up to 5th in the standings. He's 90 points clear of that top 12 cut line, so much like Juergensmeyer and a lot of the other drivers, they seem to be relatively safe in advancement to the next round. But over the next few, that's where he will start to try to find his method of madness to go for the championship. Bristol, Chicagoland, and Auto Club Speedway. That is what's going to separate him from a SAAC Cup Series title this year. And unlike the first round that has 3 races and then eliminates 4 drivers from the top 16 to leave with 12, there is elimination in every single race until that final event where it's just 6 drivers going for the 1 title. So it'll be 12 drivers at Road America. It'll come down after Bristol, then it'll come down again after Chicagoland, and then the 6 drivers who are decided through Auto Club, they'll fight for the title at the end of the season. So Hyder just hoping that he can cling on to top 5 territory at least, and then at most try to surge in for the race lead in some of these ending races and try to get to the points lead by the end of it, as Gabriel Zahari has found a bit of trouble and his number 72 machine is back in 12th. There's off course for Cody Riveras. Inside off turn 14 will go Jonathan Juergensmeyer, and so that pass will be complete down the front straightaway and up the hill. But I think after strategy, Charlie, if there are no key mistakes from anyone at the front, the bet is made. You got to lie in it at this point. This is probably where you're going to finish if you continue where you stand.
Yeah, it's barring any mistakes, and I'm sure you're going to knock on some wood right now. It's definitely possible for, as we mentioned, these lap cars and exhibiting an example earlier in this race with some of the drivers that were having trouble with the lap cars, and especially inside of the top 5. It's definitely more than probable to have a lap car maybe step in and alter the results of this race. But I think the only battle on this track that we should be keeping tabs on is this battle from 4th, 5th, and off to 6th as well. These drivers are stacked up on each other. AJ Hyder, Jonathan Juergensmeyer, and Cody Riveras are definitely going to be some more drivers that throughout the course of this race are going to be grasping for a top 5 spot, and that's definitely going to be a battle to watch as well. But yeah, it's definitely spread out to a point where a lot of these drivers are just in cruise control and just want to bring this one home.
There's Juergensmeyer, the Charlie Bayer photography onboard camera through the corners leading up to the carousel. That Speedville, Johnsonville bridge on the top, and just trying to carry through this right-hander all the way until the red and yellow curbing that's on the inside of the racetrack. Right about there is that mark you want to hit for the late apex down the Mission Bridge and then to the Fast Kink. That's another crucial right-hander in this bottom sector of the racetrack. Still trying to catch up to AJ Hyder. They are still pretty close on lap time, so the 48 and the 00 may not be done in their battle quite yet, entering 6 laps to go. But for Juergensmeyer, just all of that focus trying to carry his momentum into Canada corner, and all of the forces that are coming on from the rig himself that he's got on board with him is a great look from Juergensmeyer as he tries to rip around this 4-mile racetrack here in Wisconsin. For everyone else, it seems to be rather okay. The first driver a lap down is Declan George in his number 17 car. He's back in 20th. So over the course of strategy, that is where we stand in this Captain Morgan Ford Mustang. That's where he sits as some of these top 5 cars get around him. Rivers Jones is now going to be the first car a lap down as he has hit pit road. Seemingly there was an issue here with the 26 car, the winner at Indianapolis, until a decision after the race kept him out of contention to keep that win. It was given to Ethan Fonseca Moreno. And I think this was a crucial braking mistake entering turn 1. It just sailed off into the gravel. Oh, went up and over, flipping several times. Rivers Jones down into the tire barrels. Oh my goodness.
I don't know if I've ever seen that in iRacing. Over a weight shift flip up and over. That's a wild ride for Rivers Jones, and that'll be certainly an iconic screenshot to take as well. Take a look at this.
I don't think I've ever seen a flip in a road course with an next-gen car in my life. This reminds me of the old Forza days when you soup up a Ford Transit, give it 1,000 horsepower, and then run it up the hill. What was going on? Oh my goodness. That is a nasty flip for Rivers Jones. And even then, considering his appearance on pit road, it looked like maybe he had hit the barrels at a certain speed, and maybe he had hit it at an awkward angle. It didn't look like that was that much damage given to the 26. But it looks like his race is done, and done in a spectacular fashion. I think he probably wanted to be out of that race, given how long it's been so far. And with coming down to 5 laps to go, Jones will be the newest DNF added to the list, and he will fall a lap down or more here in these final few from Road America. I've never seen that before. Just when you think you haven't seen it all in iRacing.
That's spectacular. I was trying to think what may have caused that. iRacing maybe had added some depth to those rocks in addition to being able to bring them onto the track, and kind of looks like a flip that Simon Pagenaud had in the IndyCar series at Mid-Ohio, I believe. Kind of veered off the racetrack and turned right over, flipped a heavy amount of times up into the barriers over there. So that's a wild ride for Rivers Jones, and a spectacular way to end an otherwise lackluster race in his eyes.
You know, we've seen flips at Talladega. We've seen interesting situations at Sonoma. If you remember, what was an LWRC Sonoma race where Brady Weileman, Dylan Basin had basically killed each other into the final hairpin, and we saw a car lift up almost on all fours. Nicholas Baumann last season in 4-wide at Iowa went on his side, kind of like how Zane Smith did in the Kansas Cup Series race not too long ago, riding the wall in the middle of the corner. That's what happened to Baumann. Just when you think you've seen everything that could possibly happen, a weight shift flip in the gravel in turn 1 at Road America was certainly not on my bingo card, but I guess we're going to roll with it. New situation here in the SAAC Cup Series, and new surprises as we crunch down to the final 4 laps here at this road course. James Thurston has pretty much gotten control of this race, and he is continuing to gap Ethan Fonseca Moreno. The lap times have considerably gotten closer, so Moreno is starting to match the best lap times put down by the race leader, but it really isn't by much, and that gap remains at about 9.5 seconds, so we may just see a double-digit gap from first to second place in these final few if Thurston can eliminate any further hiccups and can try and put down some hot laps now that he's almost in the track all by himself. Connor Trafari has stepped into the top 3, a rather good effort for the 9 machine, who picked up a top 5 effort at New Hampshire Motor Speedway just last Thursday in an event in which he almost thought he could grab the race victory over Gabriel Dahari. Ended up in the thick of things in the fight for second place with Thurston and Moreno, so it appears that a similar top 4 from what we saw last week, just in a very different order, and this Lot Brewing number 9 machine continues to run in the podium.
He actually pulled away from a little bit from the drivers he was battling with, just behind Jonathan Jurgensmeyer and AJ Hyers. So Trafari trying to put himself kind of on his own island out here, kind of run on his own, and this clean air is definitely a benefit when it comes to road courses. Just being able to focus on yourself and hit your marks, it's definitely beneficial for these drivers to be doing that rather than running in a group or maybe feeling the pressure from someone behind you. So I think Connor Trafari is going to be able to settle in here with less than 5 laps to go and bring it home in a podium position. Good race for him.
Trafari's got some good races upcoming as well. Bristol Motor Speedway, Chicagoland, and we know at the 1.5 miles, Trafari has done rather well for himself, but his first 3 wins have all come from different venues. It was a road course that got him his first checkered flag of the season in Sonoma County, California, then stepped it up with a big-time win on a final lap dash at Talladega Superspeedway, and just when we thought Trafari was on the hot streak, he only continued to get hotter as he won the race following week at the Virtual Phoenix Raceway on the 1-miler. So hoping to add another different type of track to his resume if he can win in any of the final few races. He has easily become one of the crucial championship contenders alongside Dahari, Moreno, and even a bit of AJ Hyder. Give him credit for the sneakily fast several weeks that the 48 car has had over the course of 2025. Thurston is on the way to 3 laps to go from Road America, just now hitting the final few corners of this second sector here as he carries on through the Johnsonville Speedville Bridge and down to the carousel. We'll carry on to the kink and over to turn 14. And the only other battles we're seeing on the racetrack involve some of those in the top 10. That does include Larry Miles. And for Miles, he is in a very deep situation going into tonight's event. Minus 26 to the top 12 cut line entering tonight's event. He had been a crucial point of conversation at Homestead, Miami, the final regular season race of the campaign here in the SAAC Cup Series. And he had made the top 16 alongside Michael Walls and a couple of others, but it looks like his chance at a championship may indeed come to a close tonight at Road America. Needed a really good finish. Top 10 will be good for him, but I don't believe it will be enough considering right up the road is Michael Walls. He will gain points on Austin Duran, so we'll keep an eye on whether that tide and shifts will create any big waves in the fight for the top 12. But as it stands, Larry Miles in one of the more desperate situations alongside Amir Bascom and Trevor Haley. We haven't seen Trevor Haley make any of the opening races in this Eliminator chase format. So kind of a heartbreaker. Maybe for Larry Miles, he's going to be teetering on the edge. And for Michael Walls, I believe this will be a job well done moving on to the next round after tonight.
Yeah, I think a 10th place finish on a road course is certainly no small feat of its own, especially in such a competitive field like this, and even no lack of effort as well to be able to pull off a top 10 finish, especially at Road America, a track that doesn't have a huge presence on a lot of leagues, but is certainly one of the tracks that is absolutely considered when making a schedule. So if they get a 10th place finish in the top 10, it's not something to walk away upset about, but when it comes to playoffs, you're trying to grab every point possible and just need a little bit more to be able to move on.
Well, the good news for Miles is that he's got cars ahead of him. It's not like there are 5 seconds separating him and the next car in line for this top 10. He can gain on Quincy Strawhacker, Nicholas Borowski, and even a bit of Michael Walls. He is continuing to gap Borowski and Strawhacker by just the smallest margins lap by lap, but again, any mistake here at Road America at a track that really has no asphalt runoff, Miles can get it, but now he's going to lose the effort into turn 1. Car spins, a bye goes Steven Maggio, bye may go Gabriel Zahari if he's got enough time, but that was a crucial mistake inside 3 laps to go, and another point lost for the SAAC Cup Series Toyota.
Yeah, unfortunately, just got a little bit loose, maybe cooked the brakes up in turn number 1 there, and got a little bit into the gravel. We'll see how it all unfolds here. I think just a little bit more patience would have been able to keep him in the top 10 spot, but only lost 1 spot, which again is not trickling down the field. Thankfully, he doesn't flip here, unlike Rivers Jones, who had a bit worse luck earlier. But just being able to hang on, and now his tires are a little bit hot, so just kind of nursing him to the end is what he has to do here.
Just hoping that maybe some other mistakes can come up from the drivers in front. That has been hard to come by, so we'll keep an eye on that gray and orange number 30 Toyota Camry. Well, this fight for 4th continues to be really good. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer has not let AJ Hyder go without a single fight. Jurgensmeyer has stayed within a few car lengths. They had Cody Riveras in their tagline, but it looks like the 36 car has let them go astray, so the 00 and the 48 will continue to hustle on through these final few corners. Up the hill, left, and then you're back into turn 14, that hard right-hand corner, before you're up to the gears again, up the hill here at Road America. Such a beautiful, scenic road course. You know, our good friend Reese Cupsey has been to this track many a time for NASCAR Cup Series action, for IndyCar action. He says it's one of the most beautiful road courses you can come by in the United States, and certainly it has lived up to the hype in real life, and it lives up to the hype here on iRacing. But Jurgensmeyer is going to make it be an ugly day for AJ Hyder. If he can make this pass complete, he leave a sour taste in the mouth like Olivia Rodrigo inside the final 2.
And while this battle was going on, Kenneth, I do have to mention in the hurry downs on lap number 23, with help of Michael Walls, Quincy Strawhacker went around and stopped to the inside. Again, this was down in the hurry downs approaching the carousel. That'll leave him outside the top 10. Larry Miles was able to go by him, and now Steven Maggio is now in the 10th position. Just a little bit of pulling.
And good news for Maggio, especially after the night he's had. Trouble in turn 1, and even under strategy hasn't really been able to pick things up. Down low in turn 5, the near surge from Jurgensmeyer and the bobble from Hyder on the outside. What a move from turn 5 and up the hill. Jurgensmeyer up to P4.
And trying to get down to the power, you saw Cody Riveras, or excuse me, AJ Hyder up the hill, trying to put the power down on those rocks. Was able to squiggle around, but get enough speed to now enter the hurry downs. Just a few car lengths around Jonathan Jurgensmeyer. With only 2 laps to go, I certainly believe that something else could be coming for the 00.
All he needed was a good launch off of turn 4, and he would be right in the taking for this 4th position. It will not go away. At least AJ Hyder won't go away without at least trying to bring in some sort of retaliation as we come down in the final lap here from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and up to the final sector. And off of turn 14, James Thurston, who's enjoying an 11-second gap back to Ethan Fonseca Moreno, will run up the hill and see the white flag from Road America this time.
And in terms, if we were to give a race grade to James Thurston here, obviously 1 more lap left, but giving a grade to him here, I definitely give him a grade in the A range. An absolutely complete race. Very few mistakes after the pit stop. Had a little bit of trouble on the runoffs in the grass earlier in the race when he was battling with Austin Duran, but able to put together a very, very complete race here after the pit stop. Very few mistakes puts the power down as soon as he can and is able to pull away up to 11 seconds over Ethan Fonseca Moreno and down past the Marine Streep, just half lap to go to victory.
This will be the second time that Thurston ends up victorious on a road course. His first one came at Portland in pure domination the same way. And for this 82 car, he has been absolutely flawless. Had a bit of that pressure from the back bumper on Austin Duron, and the 52 car made the one mistake, and out he was from contention. And ever since, it has been all this 82 machine. Thought that maybe strategy could spice things up, but it certainly hasn't. And on this final lap, it's a scenic drive through this 4-mile road course that James Thurston, just a little bits away from seeing his third checkered flag of the season, out through the carousel and to the kink as AJ Hyder continues to try and fight Juergensmeyer for this 4th place spot on this white flag lap. They'll carry on through the hurry downs to the carousel. AJ Hyder with a chance to give one last shot at this 0-0 and the chance for top 5 territory and one more spot gained. But for the 82 of James Thurston, won the race from the pole at Portland, led from the pole tonight from Road America. And as he enters Canada corner for the final time, there are only several corners left and nobody ahead. James Thurston continues to play spoiler in the midst of this Eliminator chase. He goes out to win, and he's accomplished defeat off of turn 14 and up the hill. James Thurston will see his 3rd SAAC Cup Series victory come from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, and Road America. And a mistake off Canada corner for AJ Hyder loses him out for 4th. It'll lose him out of the top 5. Moreno finds himself 2nd. Connor Trafari finishes 3rd. And Jonathan Juergensmeyer will escape with 4th place.
And Kenneth, that contact between AJ Hyder into Canada corner was able to push him outside of the top 5. We'll take a replay here in a little bit, but just overcooked the tires, and Cody Rivera is able to get by and take that top 5. So a very good effort by this entire top 5 to be able to sustain that position throughout this last run. We'll take a look here. Down through Kettle Bottoms here. He did apologize on the radio, said he was trying not to wreck him. Took a shot very deep, swift to the inside, shifted to the outside, just cooked his tires, and down into the rocks he goes.
Trying to get out of the way to not punt the 0-0. Good IQ from Hyder, and he mostly escapes any bit of damage. I think he nearly got away to the outside wall, but a clean race car at the end of it. There was Cody Riveras from all the lost time, making up the spots, and that's all she wrote for AJ Hyder. He'll fall back to 6th at the end of the affair here from Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, as James Thurston continues his celebrations. Practically led every single lap, apart from those laps in the middle of strategy. A big-time drift to the carousel, and a well-deserved dub for the 82 of James Thurston, his 3rd again of this Season 4 SAAC Cup Series campaign. And he continues to deny any opportunities of a pink and purple bannered Eliminator chase driver from winning a race in the middle of this postseason. He has been out there at every opportunity. Many a time, he was nearly to the victory, but just was a spot or two short. At Homestead in Miami, he nearly had the win against Gabriel Dahari, but fell back to 2nd, and that's where he stood at the end of it. New Hampshire Motor Speedway had a shot at the eventual race winner in AJ Hyder, but again was too short. So a huge what if on if Thurston could have been able to win more races in 2025, but it doesn't matter for him. He's got a win in his back pocket again. And Road America will be captured by this very colorful number 82 Ford Mustang as the celebrations continue at the exit of turn 14. Well, let's get a look at the unofficial race results. Charlie, what a race from all of the drivers on the racetrack to keep things clean, but most importantly for the race winner in the 82 of James Thurston.
And James Thurston able to pull away through that last run and able to take this race win 11 seconds over Ethan Fonseca Moreno, who had another consistent race, being able to pull up in that 2nd spot. Rounding out the podium, another 10 seconds between the second and third. Connor Trafari, a good result, finishes in the podium position. Jonathan Jurgensmeyer, Cody Rivera, and AJ Hyder all stuck between each other throughout the course of the second run. They finished 4th, 5th, and 6th. On the results board, Michael Walls, net number 24, a name who we didn't really see a whole lot of throughout the course of this race, but he was very consistent, being able to pull out a 7th place finish. Nicholas Borowski able to pull out an 8th place. Steven Maggio, who had an incident on lap number 1, a good rebound for him, similar to New Hampshire. A good rebound, able to put himself in 9th, and Larry Miles will run out your top 10.
Back behind them is the 11th place machine of Gabriel Zahari. Points leader may lose the points gap over Moreno after this race is said and done. Connor Zola ends up in the 12th spot for the 13 machine. Amir Bascom is 13th, but given his gap back to the cut line in the Eliminator chase, he may be out of a chance to win a SAAC Cup Series championship. Quincy Strawhacker ends up 14th, with Daytona winner Wyatt Roberts back in 15th. Shockey Tarpley ends up P16, so a big question mark as to whether the 25 will advance to the next round. Duncan Fall ends up 17th. Declan George, the first car a lap down, in 18th place. And Andretti Robinson runs 19th. And Devin Frank, his number 56 car, the car that went sideways downhill to turn 5 and saved it, he ends up inside the top 20. Brad Sawinski's 21st. Rivers Jones, who went for that hellacious flip at the exit of turn 1, is 22nd. 23rd goes to Donovan David, with Ollie Reeves back in 24th. Gabe Cazzola 25th. Austin Duran, what a heartbreaking effort it was for the 52. Had the second fastest car and nearly had a shot at taking the win away from James Thurston. He ended up crashing at the exit of turn number 8. He ends up 26th. Fidel Fabian 27th. Christopher Robinson and Luke Mahone bring the end of the 28-car field that tackle Road America here tonight. Well, let's get a moment to talk to James Thurston. His 3rd victory in the SAAC Cup Series season comes tonight from the road course. And James, what an unbelievable finish this was for you to cap off what was overall a dominating effort for you. You lead every single lap but 2. You had Austin Duran on your tail, but ever since his mistake, it was clear sailing for you. How great does it feel to continue to play spoiler and dominating tonight's race from Road America?
Yeah, I mean, coming into this race, I felt like we had a really good, strong chance of doing this. It was really just a matter of, getting a good, strong start, which we did, and kind of didn't really expect for Austin to be there as much as he was. He got up to me, capitalizing on my mistakes early, and we started fighting for a bit, and he got back by him. But then, yeah, I guess he made some sort of mistake. I don't really know what it was, but. Yeah, I just saw that he kind of disappeared, and no, he wasn't really a factor anymore. And yeah, I mean, it was an extremely dominating effort, but I still feel like I left a little bit out there, or maybe not. I might not have left anything out there because I was making more mistakes than I kind of thought I would. I don't know if y'all saw, but I almost wrecked the car a few times, but it wasn't enough to eat the lead up fully. We got pit stops done and just sit down some hot laps, and got a nice finish there.
Are those mistakes, when you're by yourself, a characteristic of being by yourself, when you don't have a car to either reference off of a car that's fighting right behind you? When you're kind of all by yourself and you're just getting around lap traffic, does it make it a bit easier to maybe overthink the drives into the corners and maybe create those mistakes mid-drive?
Well, part of it is that the setup isn't meant for this racetrack. It would drive pretty good early on in the run, and then once you kind of wore the tires in, the flaws with it would become extremely glaring, and that's really when I started making mistakes. It would just kind of stop having any turn of the front. It was kind of really iffy getting on the throttle with how low the tire pressure was. And, low tire pressures and worn out tires don't go together very well, especially not here. And I think that's kind of what's going into play. And also, it doesn't help when you work a 8-hour shift at McDonald's right before the race. So, was going very strong into this for sure. Just super happy to get this one done here, and we're going to hopefully go out and win some more.
You know, we mentioned some of those other races this season in which you had a chance to win, you were just a bit short, and that big what if on how many more race victories you could have had this season. New Hampshire was no exception last week. You told us how happy you were to finish then, even though, of course, the main objective as a non-eliminator chase driver is to win as many races as possible. How much confidence does this win give you to try and cap off the final 3 with maybe more wins in your belt before this 2025 season is over?
I mean, it depends on what racetracks we got left. I mean, really, the ones that we've been to have been good, strong tracks for me. I feel like that's why I finished so well. But you know, I think if there are some more tracks that I'm not maybe super good at, like this one, it might be a little bit more challenging. But I'm very confident that I can overcome whatever I need to and go score some more victories.
Well, you've been on a roll over the last 3. You've won 2 of the last 3, in fact, from Darlington and tonight's event from Road America, so it might be a good time to be a James Thurston fan. James, on behalf of all of us at the KBueno Racing Network, congratulations on tonight's dub, but before we let you bounce, anybody that you want to shout out for the win?
Yeah, just thanks to Power Smash Infinity Speed Motorsports, 623 Speedworks, Cardano as well. They don't sponsor me here. Probably should put them in my car, but they sponsor me elsewhere. Great company. Just, yeah, gonna go out here and see if we can win some more.
Well, James, on behalf of all of us, once again, congrats on the victory here from Road America. We'll see you in the field at Bristol Motor Speedway next week.
All right.
James Thurston dominates tonight from Road America, leads 23 of the 25 green flag laps, and ultimately comes away with a 3rd W of this 2025 year. Then we'll join Ethan Fonseca-Moreno, who finishes in 2nd. A strong effort for the Mission Chevrolet. Charlie, you've got him.
And off the back of a win at Montreal last night, not too far south, but a trip to Wisconsin, you're able to pull a 2nd place finish out tonight. Ethan, welcome to the booth. Overall, how do you think your race went tonight?
It was kind of up and down. I mean, it's not like I moved around positions or anything. It's just, you know, kind of making mistakes here and there. Didn't really have much practice before this, so I just kind of was taking it a little bit easier than especially yesterday. So, yeah, it was just all about trying to survive, keep the wheels on the track, and you know, try to come away with a solid finish and ahead of all my playoff contenders. So, you know, but luckily we did that, and you know, looking to take the points lead back hopefully.
And you mentioned keeping all the wheels on the racetrack, and obviously last night that was also an important factor, but without the yellow flag tonight, you ran 25 laps unrestricted. This entire field did. How much of a factor do you think that played in, and realizing that you don't get a break and being able to put together a complete race together without one?
Yeah, it's just, it takes a lot of discipline to, you know, keep it on the track and all that, and you know, try to keep the mistakes at as minimized as possible. So yeah, it's very tough. You gotta have a lot of endurance to make it through these, and you know, it's not all about just one lap. So yeah, these are definitely one of the more tougher races to do. So yeah, I'm just glad that I didn't make anything worse for myself, and you know, we're moving on.
And moving on to the rest of the season, and the 2nd place finish puts you in a good spot among your championship contenders. What more do you need, or what can you maintain coming out of this race, especially closing out the season between all of you?
I just gotta, honestly, I just gotta do better, because right now my ovals haven't been great in the playoffs so far. So Darlington was just, I got wrecked out of it, and I guess I was faster, but New Hampshire, I wasn't as fast as everybody else. So it's just gotta put a little bit more time into, you know, trying to what's it called, be quicker at the ovals. Figured that at a road course I could be fast with or without practice. So yeah, I just gotta get better for these last what is it, 2-3 races, something like that.
And a 2nd place finish tonight, certainly a good point spot for you coming out of Road America. Connor, on behalf of the KBueno Racing Network, thank you for coming out tonight. Any sponsors and any teams that you'd like to thank for your 2nd place effort tonight?
I'm Connor. Oh,
excuse me, Ethan.
Yeah, yeah, I just gotta shout out to you guys. Put on a good broadcast. I'm I'm glad we finally got one where we could just actually race here and not like just be under yellow the whole time. So I'll probably be back next week, but hopefully not. I don't know who else to shout out. Mission being on the car. Had some of his sponsors around the track, so got some nice pictures with it.
Yeah,
And
that's a nice screenshot of you under the Mission Bridge.
yeah. Um, what else? What else? I don't know. That's it.
Alrighty, well, Ethan, thank you, and that's a good second place finish for him from tonight, Kenneth, and putting him in a good spot among his championship contenders. That's certainly something to be excited about for him.
Very exciting. He will gain the points lead. So as we predicted, he will take over the top spot in Eliminator chase standings from his good friend Gabriel Dahari, as Dahari ended up finishing in 11th tonight, Moreno in P2. So that's more than enough to make that difference. Of course, second is better than 11th at the end, as we are now joined by the third place finisher tonight in Connor Trafari. And Connor, what a race this was for you. Maybe a bit more back and forth than some of the others at the top end of the podium, but for your sake, you were able to master this race at the end. How would you best describe the way Road America went for you tonight?
Sloppy for sure. Just even on the first lap, after losing 2 spots there, just in the first 2 corners, was not ideal at all. I just kept putting behind the stakes a lot there. Got it back later on, and then I get past Moreno, and then not even a corner later, I overshoot it and get right back to him and lose 2 more. So it's just bad on my part for sure. But I mean, it was a good rebound for sure. I got third. That's really good points for the playoffs. Just not really what I wanted to do here. I'm one of my favorite type of tracks. You know, I really think I had the speed to fight Thurston if I didn't get stuck behind people and made mistakes. But I'll still take P3.
And overall, you know, Road America as a track, not entirely a new track to a lot of other drivers, but still sort of a new challenge compared to, you know, the useful Watkins Glen, Sonoma, a lot of the usual formats that stock car drivers are most often racing. For you, what seemed to be the most difficult challenge you had to overcome tonight? Because it felt like with all the strategy going on, with all the distance amongst yourself and other drivers, it came down to mistakes more often than not.
Yeah, I think it was just kind of the car, honestly. We weren't running a Road America made setup. It was actually the Dakota setup, so it wasn't completely ideal. For me, it was really kind of the braking, honestly. Like just some of the corners, especially like turn 3. I think another downhill corner, and I want to say Canada corner. All of those were just really like off. It felt like compared to the rest of the track. So I would say it was definitely that, as well as kind of the track being sort of narrow. If you kind of get what I'm saying, you know, like there wasn't much room to run. And, I mean, you could see that with how many people are going off into like the sand traps and all that. Which, speaking of which, man, I did not know it was snowing in Wisconsin right now. But shoot, at least I think it's in Wisconsin, right? I don't know, but the grass was just covered with gravel. It's actually insane.
So you move into this race inside the top 5 in point standings. You end up staying there. You're going to be third in standings coming off of this race, 14 back of the points leader, still Ethan Fonseca Moreno after this week. Bristol, Chicagoland, and then the finale at Auto Club next. What is it going to take for you to gain as many points as possible? And what mentally is it going to take for you to try and go away with the championship this year?
Staying consistent. I mean, the first 3 races were kind of the same usual with many other leagues because we don't have the point multiplier. But now I'm pretty sure it's like the 2x and 2x and like 4x or something like that. But that's gonna change it up a lot. So I just gotta be consistent, knock off those top 5s, top 3s, maybe grab a win somewhere. That'd be really helpful. But just no big mistakes. Like I can't get wrecked in one of these races, and I kind of gotta hope that they get wrecked. But yeah, it's just really just staying clean. That's going to be the name of the game here.
Well, Connor, it's a great night so far here from Road America. Third place finishes after all things is considered. I'd say it's pretty good, especially after a good week at New Hampshire Motor Speedway the week before. Connor, before we let you go, anybody that you want to shout out or thank for tonight's run?
Yeah, big shout out to my parents. I'm pretty sure they're watching, so hey. And a big shout out to my sponsor, Lot 9 Brewing. If you're down in the Bluffton, South Carolina area, definitely check it out. Great atmosphere, great beer, all that. Give a shout out to Cody Rivera's for putting on the league, all my Zenith teammates for their help this week. Y'all for putting on the broadcast, of course, and I think that's about it.
Well, Connor, thank you so much for the time. Third place run here at Road America. We'll see you in the rest of the Eliminator Chase Field at Bristol next week.
Yeah, see you then.
Connor Trafari ends up tonight in P3, pretty much in his own zip code by the time the end of that race happened, but same deal for the rest of our running top 3, Charlie, given everything that went down with Thurston ending up winning, Moreno ending up with second place. So now we continue on through the Eliminator Chase season. We eliminate 4 drivers, and we have official word as to who will advance and who will be out by the time we get to the last great Coliseum 1 week from tonight. Austin Duran, despite the mistake, he is still in. He got in by at least 3 points over Shockey Tarpley, so thankfully his season will continue in the fight for the championship. Shockey Tarpley will be eliminated, though. He'll be the first driver out. Larry Miles, as we saw, trying to gather himself to make it into the Eliminator Chase for the next round. He is out. Ermir Bascom was also out of it as well. And then the same goes for Trevor Haley, who did not make a single race in this Eliminator Chase format, so he was dead last 16th. He stays there. Big movers. Michael Walls moves up from what was outside of the top 12 to 9th with that top 10 finish that he picked up tonight after Walls ended up finishing in 7th here for Road America. So it is a huge jump, Charlie, and that's going to be big going into probably the most chaotic track that we'll see in these final few until the finale at Auto Club Speedway. Bristol holds no prisoners. It is not easy. It is chaotic. It is carnage-filled, and that's going to be the stage for next race.
Yeah, you want to talk about keeping your car clean on a road course. Bristol has contact all over the place. The walls tighten up, especially off the corners, and definitely squeezes the field up almost every single lap around that place. So keeping your car clean there is going to be important, and much like not making a mistake at a road course is going to result in a good finish. Keeping your car clean at Bristol and keeping that nose on the bumper is going to be able to put together a nice race for you guys, and especially for the drivers who need it.
When we go to Bristol and when that race ends, we will have 9 drivers advancing through the Eliminator Chase standings. The bottom 3, 10th, 11th, and 12th, will be eliminated. Then the following 3 will be eliminated after Chicagoland Speedway. And that, of course, leaves us with the 6 drivers that will vie for a full points title here in the SAAC Cup Series for Season 4. Some of those trying to become the newest champion and trying to become the 4th different champion that we've had over the last several years. So that will do it for us here at the KBueno Racing Network on our coverage of the SAAC Cup Series in our first trip to Road America since Season 1 of the series. A huge shout out to Cody Riveris and all of the members of the admin team that makes this league go round week after week, and for all of the amazing people that make up the KBueno Racing Network. For Nate Polite, Francisco Bacalhau, Eli Comerford, Keelan Belsha, and for my colleague in the booth tonight, Charlie Beyer, I am Kenneth Bueno. Saying so long from Road America, and congratulations to James Thurston on his 3rd SAAC Cup Series victory and 2nd in the last 3 weeks.